everyone. Today on Problem Solving Penny, we're going to be addressing the issue of constructive criticism. Criticism arises in many aspects of our life, such as school, work, home, and sport. Studies show actually that feedback is essential to group development, and also that criticism, when it's constructive, is very beneficial. So today, our first guest is Dr. Marchant, who is an English professor at UBC. And we've brought her in today because we know that, although constructive criticism is very important, a lot of people still don't know how to deliver or accept it. And so, everyone, just welcome Dr. Marchant.
Thank you for having me on your show.
A pleasure to have you. Why don't you tell the audience about your problem?
Well, one of my TAs is having problems giving good criticism out to my students. I've heard that destructive criticism can lead to reduced feelings of competence and lower goal setting. And so I worry that if my teaching assistant can't give out the appropriate criticism, that my students may experience similar problems. I've also noticed that the students in my class don't like receiving criticism at all. And so today I've brought with me my teaching assistant, Nick, and one of the students in my class, Tiana, and I was hoping that you could give them some advice on how best to give criticism and how best to receive it.
Well, we're going to bring Nick and Tiana in right after the break. Welcome back, everyone. So, as you see, I have here Nick and Tiana, and I've got a copy of Tiana's term paper with me here. And so I'd like to actually hear from both of you in terms of, the comments that were made and how you guys gave or received it.
Well, Penny, I think Tiana could have been a little less lazy overall with the paper and put a bit more effort into it. That being said, I gave her a B- because she had some good points. She just needed to find some more evidence to back it up. There were also a few minor grammar and spelling errors that can be easily fixed. I think if she takes into consideration these concerns that I had for her paper, then she'll be able to write some really good ones next time.
Well, Penny, I've got to tell you, I was quite upset by the feedback I received on the paper. I worked really hard on the paper for 2 weeks, and Nick thought that I was lazy. And I thought that I had a lot of evidence to support my claims, and I did a lot of research. So I don't think that I deserved a B-. I think my mark should have been a bit better. And I just, that feedback kind of lowered my confidence, because I don't think that I could have put any more effort into it that I already did. And so I just must be really bad at writing papers, just not a natural at it.
Well, based on your two responses, I would like to bring in Dr. Vukerbrat, who is an expert when it comes to giving and receiving constructive criticism. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Vukerbrat. Always a pleasure. So, Dr. Vukerbrat, what kind of advice do you have to give for Nick and Tiana here?
Well, starting with Nick, I would say that he needs to work on how he gives out his criticism, because clearly his choice of words is only upsetting Tiana instead of actually benefiting her. Criticism needs to be specific, and it needs to be considerate, and it can't be focusing on internal problems. So by this I mean he needs to focus on the direct problem while still being considerate of Tiana's feelings, and less focus needs to be made on Tiana herself as the issue. One study found that when children had their personal traits focused on for criticism, they experienced more negative moods and were less persistent, so it's never advisable to make personal criticisms. Also, he needs to phrase his criticism in a way that Tiana believes he's attempting to help her improve as opposed to solely attacking her. In one study done on Hispanic and African American students, it was shown that critiques negatively impacted students' GPA and their self-reported educational experience, whereas constructive criticism did the exact opposite by positively benefiting all those things.
Wow, thank you for that advice for Nick. So what do you have to say for Tiana?
Well, I think Tiana has a problem with receiving criticism. Research has shown that when employees believe their employer has given them criticism that is undue, they tend to just disregard it, and I believe that's what Tiana's done in this case. Although Nick made some comments that weren't very helpful to her, those were the only comments she focused on. When receiving criticism, it's best to take it all in and then consider the implications of adjusting to those suggestions and then simply letting it go, as opposed to dwelling on it as Tiana appears to have done, judging from her emotional response. It's natural to react defensively to criticism, but we all need to be honest about our strengths and our weaknesses. Overall, Penny, criticism can be a very beneficial learning and growing tool, but it has to be given and received with an open mind.
Very interesting. Thank you for your expertise. Well, I'm sure you've all learned a lot today about constructive criticism, how to give and how to take it. If you still have any questions, Dr. Pat Heem and Dr. Susan Murphy, who are the authors of In Company of Women, and author Gretchen Rubin, the author of The Happiness Project, provide a lot more advice on the topic of giving constructive criticism. You can definitely go Google them or Bing them, whatever search device works best for you. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on the Problem Solving Penny Show.